Greetings everyone, I hope you're fine. I hope you are doing well. I'm back again with another video, and I would like to say I appreciate when you subscribe, I appreciate when you like, I appreciate when you comment as well. And I would like to begin by saying those who are smart always say knowledge is power. I would like us to take this opportunity to listen to this interview of Ibrahim Traore so that we can have insight and understanding.
Mr. President, good morning.
Good morning, Madam.
Thank you for taking part in this exercise on Radio Burkina through the program Antenne Directe before collecting the first questions from listeners. Excellency, this is the first time that you have spoken directly to the whole of Burkina Faso through the airwaves of Radio Burkina. How do you feel about sharing this moment of direct dialogue with Burkina Faso?
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear parents, dear brothers and sisters, listeners of Radio Burkina. Thank you, Madam, for this opportunity that is once again given to us to be able to commune directly with the people. I think it is a real pleasure. And it is also a moment for me to be able to understand today, at the stage we are at, the current aspirations of the people, and to be able to readjust our program, if we can say so.
Barsalgo, the listeners would like to know how you experience this situation.
Okay. Thank you, Madam. I would say that this is really current. The issues of destabilization are current issues. Before we embark on this mission, I think that there are a certain number of risks that we must measure and accept to assume. And among these risks, there is the fact of not succeeding in the mission for which we came. So when we come, it is either it makes or breaks. Thank God we were able to succeed in the mission, to be able to imprint our vision of things on our country. After that, the other risk is to agree to abandon everything. We cannot, as a young person, be there at the top of the state and perhaps want to find myself under manguettes eating rusumbala like the others. That is to say, agree to forget one's youth, agree to forget life, and devote oneself entirely to the homeland. One of the risks is this situation that we are experiencing, destabilization, because if you want to right the ship of such a country, you're bound to crack down. By cracking down, to right it, you create internal and external enemies. We must therefore expect this situation of destabilization, assassination, and everything, because we have affected the interests of many people. There is social inequality, there is corruption, there is poor management of public affairs. If we try to want to right all that, we are bound to affect the individual interests of certain people.
Knowledge is power. In other words, you have to understand how the system operates. In other words, if you are going to take the riches of a country, if you're going to take everything, then it means at the end of the day, people are going to suffer. So that is why the likes of Ibrahim Traore and his team, they could see that the country, which is Burkina Faso, was now sinking. Why? Because there are those people who live a luxurious life, they enjoy themselves, and at the expense of the people. Because there are those, again, who are controlling those who are living a luxurious life. It can be the leaders, the presidents, and etc. Why? Because they are also looking for the minerals. So in other words, if they take everything, then it means at the end of the day, people are going to suffer. Everybody is going to suffer. Whether you are working for government, at the end of the day, you are going to suffer. So that is why Ibrahim Traore and his team had to make a decision to say, you know what, we have to use this formula. We have to take a risk. But bear in mind, it doesn't mean all people who are using this formula have good intentions, because we have many people who don't have good intentions at all. That is why if a president is a good person with a good vision, they might use these other guys to overthrow him or to take him out of power using the very same formula. That is why I say it doesn't mean this formula is always used by good people. But when you look at Ibrahim Traore, what he has achieved so far, you can tell that they had good intentions. But here you have to understand, they had to take a risk. In other words, if you take this risk, then it means you are disturbing somebody else's interest. In other words, you have to understand that these things are created. Even the presidents are created, are manufactured. In other words, someone can decide that maybe 20 years to come, this person is going to be a president. So they will try by all means to create that person so that that person can understand the system very, very well. And when that person takes over, in most cases, what suffers is the people. You have to understand that in those countries whereby people are suffering severely, where the government doesn't care, where the government doesn't listen, you might find out the person was created long time ago. And again, if you disturb that particular individual, you have to understand that his masters will come after you. That is why Ibrahim Traore has experienced multiple coups. Why? It's because the system is like, now we cannot be kicked out just like that. We cannot be kicked out just like that. That is why in most cases they will use media to say bad things about the likes of Ibrahim Traore, because most of the time when you listen to the radios, you watch television, watch these news, they will tell you that these guys are bad guys. They are not good at all. In other words, all the time, these other people, the system is always on a good side. They always talk good about the system. That is why it's rare to hear a journalist or someone maybe in the mainstream media saying good things about the likes of Ibrahim Traore. It's very rare. Why? Because this thing or this whole thing is the system. So now if you come and say, I speak on behalf of the people, in most cases, you will always be disappeared. If you say, I defend the people, you will always be a threat. Why? Because you cannot defend the people, because the moment you start serving the people, there's no way these other people or this other group can enjoy. There's no way. So now we have leaders who prefer this group over its people. And again, you have to understand that these soldiers are working for the system because they have to protect the system. They have to protect the interest of the president, the interest of the leaders, the interest of the system. So that is why in most cases people cannot demonstrate, people cannot raise their concerns, people cannot say anything, because the moment they start talking, they will always be threatened by the soldiers. But what I like about Ibrahim Traore, he was like, we cannot continue being the puppets. We cannot continue being used against our people.
These people very often are rich, have money, and use this to manipulate people who are often poorer than them, to turn them against us. That is internal. These same people do not hesitate to join forces with the imperialist forces that spend their time encouraging us to become poorer.
You have to understand something. This point is very important, because sometimes you ask yourself about maybe certain individuals. You're like, why this person has changed his language? He's no longer speaking a language of freedom, a language of fully liberating people. The language has changed. You have to understand how the system works. For an example, right now, Ibrahim Traore is in power, is in control. So the reason he's experiencing all these coups is because the system is using those who are broke, those who are financially short-sleeved to say, you know what, we can fund you. We can give you, for an example, maybe $10,000, maybe $20,000 so that we can get this person. That is why Thomas Sankara was, like, for an example, sold by someone who was closer to him. So this is how the system works. In other words, they identify your needs, the things that you want, and they're like, you know what, we can give you all these things that you want as long as you can deliver this person into our hands. So in other words, they use money. That is why you ask yourself, I was with this person yesterday, but today this person has betrayed me. In other words, they use money. So what I like about Ibrahim Traore, they were like, you know what? We have to tell ourselves that right now, yes, money is significant, but we have to throw money out of the window in our hearts, in our minds, and in everything. That is why they took that risk to say, we cannot continue living like this, betraying our people. So now these people are using a system. That is why you see a lot of corruption in most of these countries. So the moment you see corruption, you hear about corruption and all these other things, you have to understand that there's a problem in that particular country. That particular country will never serve its people, because you have to understand that this corruption is also created to bring disorder, because when there's disorder, it means there are people who can take advantage. There are people who can capitalize as well. So now money is used so that these people who are in a forefront can be silenced. They know very well that if these people who are in the forefront can be silenced, then it means the community will continue to be stranded. That is why our people keep on voting. Our people in Africa have been voting all the time without a solution. Why? Because the moment you think this guy is a freedom fighter, then the next minute that particular person is a sellout. Now this person is promising you heaven and earth, and you can feel that this person has zeal, this person has determination, and you vote for this person. Then the moment he becomes in charge, the moment he occupies the office, then he changes the language. You ask yourself why? It's because you have to use money. Money is used. That is why if you go into these countries, or all these countries, or most of these countries in Africa are corrupt. Why? It's because you have to, for an example, bring disorder, because where there's disorder, there's confusion and there's no hope. In other words, everyone can be in charge, everyone can be in control, because if a home doesn't have a good leader, if there's confusion, if there's disorder, then it means even the neighbors can do as they please in your own home. Why? Because there is no order. There's no order. So most of these people who say they love democracy, they love all these things, they are nice. The truth is they are lying. They are lying because most of these people are the very same creators of disorder. That is why these countries are poor, because there's no way these people can survive if you take care of the people. There's no way. Why? Because they are focusing on their riches. They are focusing on all these things. So what I like about the likes of Ibrahim Traore, they were like, we have to risk it all. But bear in mind, it doesn't mean all people who are using the very same formula have good intentions. That is why when a leader in that country is a right person, they will try by all means to replace that particular person. So right now, what makes it difficult for them to disappear Ibrahim Traore just like that? You have to understand that these people, they want to appear as peaceful people, as preachers of democracy. They want to appear as good people, but at the same time, they want to steal. They want to take. So this is the current system that they are using. This is a new colonialism. This is a new colonial system whereby I want to appear good, but at the same time, my mission is to steal. But I have to preach peace. I have to preach love. But at the same time, I want to steal. But this method, I think the system is also analyzing this method, because this method is not working for them right now, especially in Burkina Faso. So let's appreciate what Ibrahim Traore has done.
Our thinking is these external forces. There are many countries today that we have under our backs, and we have no choice. We have to do it. If we want our homeland to be independent, if we want our sovereignty, if we want the Burkinabés to eat their fill, if we want our children to go to school without paying a franc, if we want malaria, which is one of the most widespread diseases in Burkina Faso, to be able to treat our population on certain words at 0 francs. These are some of the dreams that we have, but we will have to make many concessions. We will have to prevent certain powers from plundering us, and that creates many enemies. So, we are prepared for this situation. We experience them as normal, in fact. It does not shake us, it does not scare us. It still gives us the courage to move forward, because through these events, we know that the guideline that we have chosen is the best line for our homeland, for our people. We experience things like that. The plotters currently, we have spent 2 years raising awareness, talking, warning. People found that we were warning too much. But it was necessary so that the Burkinabés could see for themselves how far some Burkinabés can go against the homeland. If we had started to crack down in a certain way from the beginning, it is not obvious that you yourself will understand us. You will perhaps say, after a while, there may be misunderstanding. I think that Captain Thomas Sankara was misunderstood at one point, perhaps because they started strong. But we had to let the people see, understand what these plotters are, communicate with the people through everything we have done. Today, I think that people have understood a lot.